Hello there, boys and girls. We meet again in another exciting lesson today. Welcome to iTTV. In today's lesson, I'll be talking to you further about parallel lines, especially the problematic questions that a student has to attempt. In today's lesson, I'll be dealing with you more difficult questions to attempt. Well, boys and girls, let us now turn our attention to the first question. The first question is, in the diagram, find the value of x plus y given that x equals to 50. Well, boys and girls, let us look into our first question. The question wants us to find the value of x plus y. That's the first question. Secondly, they want us to ask, are A and B, C and D parallel lines? So there are two questions to this question here. Since we are given the value of x equals to 50, the next question is, what is the value of y? If you look very closely, you can observe that y is actually located in a U-shaped pattern. If you look very closely, y is situated in a U-shaped pattern, meaning to say that y is in this form. We have two parallel lines that we are going to prove shortly. We have two so-called parallel lines, and we have another line across here. If you look very closely, this is a squared U. Now, under the squared U principle, that is the interior angles, to obtain y, I take 180 degrees minus 50, I get 130 degrees. So therefore, y is equivalent to 130 degrees. So therefore, naturally, the next question is, what is the value of x plus y then? X plus y is equals to 50 plus 130, that will give you 180 degrees. Then, how can I comment on A, B and C, D? What can I say about these two lines then? If you note, since we are dealing with interior angles and the sum has been added up to 180, therefore, line AB and line CD are parallel. So that is your answer. To this question, the value of x plus y is 180 degrees and both the lines AB and CD are parallel in nature. Let's turn to the next question. Find the value of the unknown angle. Well, boys and girls, in our next question, we are requested to find the unknown D. If you observe the diagram, we have a diagram which looks like a Z. Now, what we may need to do here is, as I've mentioned to you earlier in our lessons, at times you need to extend some lines. The reason why you need to extend some lines is because we need to find D. Without any extensions, we may not be able to solve for D. So in this particular question, we need to extend the line from ZY further down this way, and line XY extend it further this way in the form of dotted lines. Well, if you look very closely, we have an angle 235 on the side. Now, how can I relate the value of D to the value of 235? That is the question we have to ponder. Now, in order for me to solve this problem, first of all, I got to see that this line XW and this line here are parallel by nature. As such, I'm going to draw an interior angle concept that will look like something like this. I have a line here and I have another line here. then I have a line across both these lines. Therefore, you can see that this is a U-shaped pattern that will give you an interior angle concept. So therefore, the next step that I need to engage is I got to find what is the value on this side of the angle. Why is that so? Because if I can find the value here, then in order for me to find the value of D, all that I need to do here is I take 180 degrees less this value, I will obtain the value of D. Coming back to the board here, how is 235 relevant to this question? If you look closely, since the whole angle is 235 and I know this line is a straight line, I know that on a straight line, the sum of angles would be 180 degrees. So therefore, in order for me to find the remainder, I create an angle XYK. XYK. So that would be XYK. I'm looking for this angle. The value would be 235 in total, less 180. That would give you 55 degrees. That means angle XYK will be 55 degrees. So therefore, we are on the right track. How then can I find the value of D? To obtain the value of D, I just take 180 degrees less 55, I should obtain 125 degrees, concept being an interior angle. So students, you can see how tricky this question is. In order for you to attempt this question, you need to draw some dotted lines on this diagram. Having drawn these dotted lines, then you must ask yourself, what next? How can I relate the value of D to the question that is 235 degrees given? This is how one student should attempt. I hope you have seen this picture much more clearer. Let's now turn to the next question. Find the values of the lettered angles. Well, boys and girls, if you look into our next question, we are requested to find the values of the unknowns here, those being K and M. In order for us to find the answer, we must ask ourselves how 38 and 43 is relevant to this question. On closer examination, let us find for the value of M first. If you look on M, since we have two parallel lines here, one on my right, the other on my left, then what I need to do here, I just draw a line across these two parallel lines. And what do you see? I can see a Z being formed. And when you see there's a Z being formed, obviously this would be an alternate angle. As such, since M is alternate to 38, therefore M should be read as 38 degrees. Likewise, in K, since both these lines are parallel, and I just draw another line across this way, I can find that this is also another Z pattern, which is also an alternate angle issue. Therefore, K is equivalent to 43 simply because K is also an alternate angle to 43. This is how you attempt this particular question. Let's move on to the next question. Find the values of the lettered angles. Well, boys and girls, in this question, we need to find the values of X and Y. On closer examination, we note that this is a triangle and we have a parallel running line across. Next question is, how am I going to find the values of X and Y? If you look on Y, I have two parallel lines running. First is here and the next one at the top. So how can I equate or how can I relate Y to 41? If you look closely, I can draw another line across these two parallel lines and I can observe that this looks like a F shape. So therefore, if you remember, the F shape produces corresponding angles. Therefore, Y is corresponding to 41. As such, the value of Y would be 41 because they are of equal nature. The next question is, how do I obtain X? Since Y is equals to 41 degrees and X is located in a triangle, so obviously concepts of triangle must come into play. And we know that the sum of angles in a triangle amounts to 180 degrees. Therefore, in order for me to obtain X, I take 180 degrees minus 90 degrees from here and 41 degrees from Y, I will obtain 49 degrees. Therefore, in order for me to get the value of X, I am using not issues of parallel lines, but issues of triangles. This is how you attempt this question. Let's move on to the next question. Find the value of the letter angles. Well, boys and girls, let us look into this special question. Why I say special is because there are a lot of issues that need to be considered here. We need to find the value of A. We have two parallel lines. We have a value of 78. Now, in order for me to find the value of A's, I need to find the value of X that I've created in this diagram. How do I know, or how do I find the value of X? If you look closely, we have two parallel lines, one on my right and the other on my left. In order for me to create or find the value of X, I just draw this line across and I can see that this is a U-shaped diagram. As such, we are dealing with interior angle question. How do I find for value of X? Simple. I take 180 degrees minus 78 degrees, I will obtain 102. That is for the value of X, 102. So far, it is easy. Now, that is not what we want to find. We want to find the value of A, particularly 1A. In order for me to solve for A, I must understand the concept of one whole turn. When you talk about one whole turn, the sum of angles on one whole turn amounts to 360 degrees. That is an important issue that need to be taken down. So, meaning to say, if I add all these values up, it will amount to 360 degrees. So, A plus A will give me 2A. Add that up to 102, that should give me 360. So, let's look for A. 2A is equals to 360 minus 102. 2A is equals to 258 and A is equals to 258 divided by 2. I should obtain 129. This is how we do for A. On closer examination, we find that this question incorporates two important facts. The first is interior angle question. Secondly, one whole turn question. So there are many ways, numerous ways where the examiner may test you in your examination. So a thorough understanding of parallel lines, triangles and one whole turn and 180 degrees on a straight line is of paramount consideration. Let's look into the next question. Find the values of the lettered angles. Well, boys and girls, we have come to the last question for our lesson. If you look into this question, it looks a bit difficult for some, but if you look on closer examination, the question wants us to find the value of D, F and G. Now on the board I've written down the answer. D is equals to G and G is equals to F, which is equivalent to 72 degrees. what is more important is, why are we arriving at this value? The answers to this question is, firstly, how can I find the value of D? Or how can I say that D is equals to 72? This is how we do. Now, if you note, we have two parallel lines on this side and on this side. Now, next, what I need to do here is, I just draw another line here that is known as transversal. Now, if you look into this pattern, I find that it looks like a Z. It looks like a Z. So therefore, D is actually an alternate angle to 72. Therefore, D is equivalent to 72. That is how I obtain D. Let's turn to F. Could F be the same value with 72 then? How is it so? If you look into F, I have a parallel line this way down. I have a parallel line this way down, and I have a line this way. So if you look very carefully, this looks like an F. I have a line across and have two lines this way down. This is equals to F. Therefore, F is a corresponding angle. As such, F is equals to 72 degrees. And finally, let's look into G. Now, G is located to the right hand side of F. Not to worry, it is also easy. We have two parallel lines, this, and we have a transversal here. So therefore, this looks like a Z. So if you remember the concepts of Z, it is actually an alternate angle. As such, being an alternate angle, G is also equals to 72. Therefore, the conclusion is the value of D, G and F will amount to 72 respectively. This is how we obtain the answer for D, F and G. I hope you have taken down some important notes on these questions that I have done with you in this lesson. Why is it important? Because in your daily exercise, you will sure to come and encounter with these problems. At times you need to draw some dotted lines. At times you have to observe questions like this. So therefore, it is important for us to take note of all these important salient points. Believe me, boys and girls, that when you're dealing with problems with parallel lines, it can be difficult at times. But what you need to do here is you have to be very observant, and all the concepts of parallel lines must be at your fingertips. What are those concepts? Basically, we are talking about the type of angles formed when there are two parallel lines and a transversal. Simply, the first is being corresponding angles, B, that is alternate angles, and finally, we have the interior angles. Corresponding angles with the letter F, alternate angles with the letter Z, and interior angles with the letter U. If you can remember all these letters, and if you can locate these letters in your questions or in the diagrams, then obviously your attempt on those questions will be much more easier and much more faster. In your examination, we are talking about speed. As such, you must be fast to locate or determine or detect what kind of concepts that we are dealing under parallel lines. I hope I have made myself very clear to you and you have understood our lesson today. I hope to see you in the next coming exciting program, which I will be explaining further about parallel lines in a more difficult questions to do. Until then, I will be seeing you in the next exciting program. Bye from me.